How's it going, YouTube? So again, I apologize to you guys who are wanting to see my training videos. My iMovie has been kind of on the fritz lately, so I can't really do much as far as editing and doing things like that on my iMovie. So until I get that figured out, I probably won't upload too much. You'll probably just have to check out like my Instagram for some random post, or I may just like kind of upload a random set here and there via YouTube Capture. But kind of the topic of discussion today, I wanted to kind of do a brief overview of what tapering is and how you can implement tapering into your training programs. I get this question quite a bit, and it's not really something I see, especially not on YouTube. Almost anyone that I'm aware of talk about how to taper, or again, even what tapering is. And again, it's a concept that should be in every single program. It's in all of the programs that I write. So again, it's a critical part of a program and how you lay things out and just how to train to get the best results you can. So in this video, we're just going to talk about kind of the basics of tapering and show you guys how to do it. So come over here to the whiteboard real quick. You guys can see this. So again, just how to taper. The first thing we'll talk about is on a basic level, what is it? So tapering, really in a kind of succinct way to put it, is just a decrease in total volume. You'll definitely see that in our examples, but that's the best way to put it. There will be dozens of different ways you can manipulate a taper, but the number one thing you'll have to do is decrease your total volume. And we'll just use the example of one lift, but again, your total volume of all your lifts should probably come down. Why you should taper, and again, there's probably a dozen different reasons, like injury prevention here, or just maybe staying motivated to train and things like that, soreness. But the main reason we want to taper is to realize our strength. So what that means is, if your volume is just pretty damn high all the time, or maybe not even high, but if your volume is not really changing much at all, you're probably not going to be able to, maybe hit a heavy triple or something like that. So within all training programs, you kind of need to have a high volume, a moderate volume, and a low volume phase. So again, the lower volume phase would be kind of like the taper phase. And in this taper phase, you can realize your strength. So you may be, crushing it with 5x5s for a while, use some 3x3s, and then on that, maybe last third of your training program, you just go in and hit like one set of 3 or one set of 2, and since your total volume is decreased, you'll be able to better realize this strength. And we'll talk about how we can do that. And then kind of my last 2 points here. I talked about this in the intro, but it should be implemented in all programs, and you'll see that most good programs have this kind of built in. The Cube, 531. A lot of like international programs, like Russian programs, like Smolov and Shaiko and things like that. It is actually kind of form of a deload. I think deload is too black and white of a term, because I think a lot of people associate a deload with actually taking weight off the bar, and that is actually not what you do in a taper. It can be, you can use a deload as a form of taper, because obviously we're adjusting volume. So if you decrease the load off of the bar, that's obviously going to adjust your volume. But the way kind of I manipulate most of my tapers, you actually don't move the weight off the bar at all. If anything in a taper, you increase your intensity or your load. But again, you can use a deload where you're actually taking the weight off the bar in some circumstances as a form of a taper. All right, guys, so I went ahead and drew up a quick example of kind of how you would taper a program. And again, to properly taper, really, you're going to be able to need to kind of calculate total volume or total load, and all you will do is your sets times your reps times your load. Actually, for most of my class, I'll actually just do the total reps. So say if you're doing a 5x5, it'll just be 25 reps at whatever load it was, and then again, that would give you the total volume for that set. Again, I'm only going to use an exercise as doing it 1 time per week, but again, the same exact concept would apply if you're doing this 2 or 3 times a week. It's just simpler to show you with 1 time a week. All you would do though is just do this for day 1, and then the second day you did that lift, and then add them together to get your total weekly volume of that lift. So again, here we are. This is going to be an 8-week program. So again, that's a pretty typical time frame. I usually like people to do 8 to 12-ish weeks. You can program, a 4-week kind of cycle as a mini cycle, then doing multiple things of that. But again, just an example, and we'll have 2 phases here, kind of like a build phase and also the taper phase. So again, try to fit as much in here as we can. I know there's a lot of numbers here, but I promise it all makes sense. So kind of broke it up into two phases, right in half down the middle, week 1 through week 4, and then week 5 through week 8. Okay, so you'll see how this kind of makes sense. Below all of those numbers are the total volume you would accumulate in that week if you're just going to do this lift again 1 time per week. So again, I went very, very basic. This is actually not a program I've ever given to anyone. It's just a good example that people are familiar with. So again, I have a 5x5 here at 225. And then again, say I would even want to ramp up my volume during the first 4 weeks of my program. Again, you don't have to do this. Your volume can start high and always gradually decrease till the end. But again, this is another way you can implement a taper. Again, there are dozens of ways you can manipulate this. So say you do a 5x5 at 225, and then you do that same 5x5 at 245, and then 265, then 285. So as you would imagine, since your load is increasing, but your sets and reps are staying the same, your volume starts at 5,600 and gradually increases every week. And again, I kind of have that squared off there to see that that is the highest volume you would accumulate over the course of 1 week in this entire training program. So again, your volume actually builds during the first 4 weeks as an example of how to do this. So again, obviously if it was this easy to build strength, we would just do a 5x5, put 10, 15 pounds on the bar every week, and we would just all be squatting thousands of pounds by now. But it is not that simple, and we have to again manipulate periodization, and one way to do that is to taper. So again, as I drop down here to week 5 through week 8, I will drop my total volume, and by doing that, instead of doing that 5x5 I was doing at 285, I now do a 3x5 at 290. This is probably actually less difficult than that 5x5 at 285 because it's again 10 less reps. So you'll see here that my volume goes from just over 7,100 to just over 4,300. So almost cuts. That's a 40% drop in volume right there. But again, it allows me to go from 285 to 290 because I'm doing less total volume. You would see again on week 5 here, volume drops again. So again, I'm dropping the weight 3x5. Sorry, dropping the volume. My 3x5 goes to 3x4, but then again, I increase the load from 290 to 300. So again, the drop in volume allows me to accommodate a higher intensity. Pretty much always, your intensity and your volume are going to have to be inversely related. So 3x4, and that's again a total volume of 3,600 even, which is, again, that's the lowest we've had so far in the training cycle. We will drop that again. So again, dropping the volume will take us set off in this example, go to 315, and our volume is even lower. And then to conclude our 8-week training cycle, we're just hitting a heavy triple. And again, that's a 30-pound jump there. But again, since we were accustomed to this high volume of 5x5s, and we give ourselves 3 weeks to kind of drop down. These 3x4s and 2x4s won't be incredibly taxing. So by the time we get to week 8, we're pretty recovered to hit this, hopefully what is a PR for us. And again, that's always the goal. These numbers are arbitrary, and they can change. They can manipulate. If you see yourself through the middle of the cycle just crushing weights, you can maybe say, I was aiming for a 340. Maybe this person was aiming for a 325 single, or sorry, a 325 triple, but they realized halfway through, hey, I'm going to be able to hit that for, double, on week 7. So you have to kind of auto-regulate your progression there. And same thing, maybe you overshot. Maybe you thought you would hit, 365 for a triple. Things didn't go as planned, and you have to kind of, again, auto-regulate. But again, the goal is always to, during these last few weeks, be able to realize your strength gains, like we said, and hit PRs. So again, that's kind of the whole plan. And this is a short little graph, kind of, again, just talking about, visually representing what we would do in the taper. So again, you're seeing here, as you increase, and again, it's not a huge increase. You go from about 5,600 pounds to about 7,100 pounds. And then again, from that week 4, you'll see there on week 4, then you would taper off with your total volume on that last week being, only 1,000 pounds, pretty much nothing. And you can essentially just reverse this process out of it. So maybe from this taper, you jump up to another higher volume mark. And we know from kind of research and I would say kind of common sense, your total volume, if you want to get bigger and stronger, has to increase over the time of your training age. So again, this 7,100 pounds is not that much. say if this was like a squat program, that would not be a ton of volume. So you would need to be able to work yourself up to maybe next time being able to handle 8, 9, 10,000 pounds of volume. And then again, you would hopefully taper in the same exact manner. Maybe you're hitting a double next time. Maybe you're hitting a single next time. Maybe you're hitting a triple, whatever. But again, your goal would to be build up the volume, taper off, and realize your gains with a PR at the end of the program. So again, just one example for you guys. All right, guys. So that was the quick example of how to set up a taper, or kind of more importantly, just an example of a taper. Again, you can manipulate this in almost all your programs. Again, a lot of the big programs like 531 or the Cube, Juggernaut method, they have a taper set into them. Even if they don't talk about the taper, or you're not even aware of the taper, it's in there. So again, but that's a way you can implement a taper in any program you want. So if you write programs for yourself, or again, maybe you just want to understand your training better, or you're frustrated with you're not seeing progress, if your volume is always just kind of in this middle line road, that's not probably, at least in my opinion, an optimal program. You need to have periods of higher volume and lower volume. So again, you can kind of build up your strength, build up your tolerance to those higher volumes, and then taper off those volumes so you can realize your strength, express all that strength that you've built through those kind of higher volume phases. So again, just one example for you guys. Again, if you have any more questions for me, you can always send me an email, or I guess, even post a comment on YouTube. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. I'll see you next time.